Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Richard Lewis Show. I'm Richard Lewis. Doing the DJing before the show was Sam, our producer. You'll hear him laughing over various points in the broadcast. How are you doing, Sam?
All right, mate, not bad. Always get hyped up with their intro. The intro still hypes me up every time we're doing the air drums and everything.
Yeah, it was money well spent, wasn't it, that intro?
I gotta say, a big fucking choice. I'm proud of myself now. On.
Yeah, it was. I've still got the original somewhere with the fucking lyrics in it.
Yeah. Audio
hilarious.
Jungle.
Audio Jungle. I love that one.
Everyone always asks me, can I get the full song? Probably somewhere. It's a random song we found on an audio buying website. So
yeah, I always wanted to make out that we'd written it and stuff, but obviously we just haven't. We didn't.
Audio Jungle.
Yeah, we went and we found it. We probably shouldn't have said that because now somebody's gonna go out there and fucking take the song and make their own podcast.
So as if it's the song.
With our song.
Oh no, they've got the song.
Yeah, exactly.
Now they've got the key to the power.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what it is. People don't realise that embedded and interwoven in that song at the start of the show is actually some subliminal messaging.
Yeah.
That makes you think
red pills.
That. Yeah, well, yeah, it immediately red pills you, of course. Oh, God, the globalists. It gives you a bunch of red pills, and then on top of that, it makes you more susceptible to what I say, so you think everything I say is hilarious.
Indeed. And
so there you go.
Laugh every time I do as well.
Yeah, oh yeah. In fact, Sam's laugh doesn't even appear on the show. He doesn't laugh like that.
No, it's just in your mind.
It's just in your fucking mind.
It's just like a little bell I ring that just makes it sound like I'm laughing in your mind.
Yeah, it's mental. You're up there eating a fucking onion like an apple, you daft cunt. No, I'm just kidding. But probably it's against Twitch terms of service, isn't it?
Not true.
Yeah, none of that was real.
You can have Darren Brown watch the intro frame by frame. There's nothing fishy about.
You seen how bald he's gone?
No, I haven't seen Darren Brown in a while, actually.
He is rocking the smooth head now.
Yeah, but that's what all the eccentric magicians do. They go full Zen mode. They do, but I'm sure, what's his name? Who's the cunt that used to free himself from the handcuffs? Houdini. He had a fucking mad bald phase as well, I think.
Yeah,
so.
But
everyone's box just goes, nay.
Nah, Darren Brown's is legit, though. He's just lost his hair, mate.
Yeah, I know, but you've got to be a little box gone to do that for a living. I think he'd admit that.
He's just he's a trickster.
But he's also mad obsessive to the point where he can know everything about body language as well.
Yeah, maybe. Look, I got a question for you, because obviously what people will be noticing down there is our sub count is creeping back up. When we get to 475 again, it's going to trigger a giveaway, thanks to all the people who are fucking subbing right now. But I wanted to ask this question. I've been on better Twitch channels, Twitch channels with actual real streamers who actually stream and do it for a living, and all of that shit's righteous and it looks really good and that. They've got these things that even fucking Vince has this, where if you've been subbed for an X amount of time, you get a different colour.
Yeah, we can do that.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Let's just do that then.
Do you mean on the alert, or do you mean the sub icon? Yeah. You can do it, and you can do that for mate. We've literally had this since when we did First Blood, but that's when we look at it. You've still got hair in that. No, our sub icon. You've still got hair in it, but.
Yeah, but I look all right there, don't I?
I know, that's what I mean, but that's how old it is, but and we haven't updated it since. The only thing I did was delete the old RAM and Nintendo emotes, because it was a bit weird now, it didn't make sense, and to free up some space.
Yeah,
if you look at all our emotes, that's literally it.
So why don't we do that?
Yeah, we will. We do need to freshen up the Twitch, we do need to have a sit down.
It does. It does need a spring clean.
Redo all the emotes, because we don't need a beer emote and a burning bridge or a get wrecked emote.
I like the burning bridge emote.
Actually. We'll keep that one. We'll get rid of
I think that's going to be relevant. The first blood emote, you think? Get rid of that?
It's dead. I suppose. We don't deem anything League of Legends anymore.
It is dead.
Get wrecked seems like a random one.
Ram did get in touch with me and asked if he can have the first blood name, and I was like, well, first of all,
a grand.
No, first
I made it, you little rat.
First of all, fucking, there's no way you can copyright First Blood. There's just no way. It must have been a million times. And second of all, I did say maybe one day I do get back into League of Legends or another MOBA and I want to use that, but I don't know. Maybe you can just have it. Fuck it. We'll just come up with a better name.
Well, we'll just call it First Blood as well, and we'll just steal all his Google traffic, because when they Google it, ours will be higher up.
Well, I like Ram, though. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? First come, first served, right?
And someone in the chat's asking if I've ever been to Essex. I used to run a bar in Chafford 100. I'll tell you about that some other time. But for now, let's get into the show. Yeah, but like we definitely need to spring clean on the
Maybe
stuff.
We'll talk to Chloe. We'll get some cool little drawn emotes and draw all the things.
Yeah, but I think more importantly, I'm just going to brighten this light up a little bit. More importantly, I think it's kind of like a marriage now, isn't it? Where it's like you've been having sex for a while and it was great and now it's not so great and you do it perfunctory. That's basically what the Twitch channel's like now. It's perfunctory sex, So we definitely need to change that. Let's get some kinky shit going on.
Let's get some whips and chains up in this bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Fun again.
Yeah, I want a fucking ball gag in my mouth by the end of time. You feel me? All right, let's get into the fucking show. Let's start with the worst didn't happen I think I've ever seen. Do you want to start with that?
Let's go.
Obviously, for people who were tuning in for the first time, and again, I had a lot of messages. People were saying like after the major, I had no idea you did a podcast like this. Yes, it's only been 108 episodes. Don't worry. Just straight grinding on that shit. Like, it's fine. Welcome to the family. But one of the things we do is we got this thing called Didn't Happen, which is where people basically just lie. And it's such an obvious lie that you can just declare it to Didn't Happen. There's a Didn't Happen t-shirt available on the merchandise store. But some Didn't Happens are just worse than others. And it's kind of on a spectrum. It's like the Didn't Happen where it's like everybody clapped and it's pathetic and you laugh at it. And then somewhere in the middle to the upper, you've got like the fake hate crimes.
Yeah.
This is just mental, mate. This is mental. It's going to turn everyone's stomach, I think. Like I got sent this and I was like, oh, you can't open a show with this. But we're going to open a show with this. So... Not asked. I don't give a fuck. So, there was an acid attack apparently. Which I can think of
a real one.
No, a real one. And I can think of a few things worse to do to people than just basically walk up to them and just be like, I don't want to kill you.
I just want to mutilate you for life and scar you forever.
It's beyond a joke. That is like the level of malevolence in that.
Exactly. And mate, in London, right? What blows my mind is. People are using it to rob people, but it's not like they say, give me your phone or I'm going to throw acid in your face. They throw acid in your face to your phone. Why don't you just tell me you got acid, but trust me, I'll give you the phone every time. If anyone in London sees me and you're going to throw acid in my face, just tell me beforehand. You can have everything, but keep your acid. I'll save you fucking 4 quid on your acid.
It's mental. And it does make me wonder how people, like where's the acid shop? Where's that happening? Like,
I don't even know what it is. Is it literally like home? Is it like detergent?
No, I mean it must be like I guess you could split open a
hard to get.
I don't know, mate. I've never looked into it.
Clearly,
I'm not fucking mentally ill.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so, acid attacks are just fucking horrendous. And so there was this woman called Lizzie Dunn. She was from Staten Island, and she said she was attacked. But an acid attack when she was walking to a bus stop, and when questioned by police in hospital, you'll see when you bring the article up how horrible the burns are. I mean, really horrific burns all over her face. She said, oh, it was a panhandler, someone begging for money, and a black woman who did it. Well, it just didn't happen. What this woman had done for attention, and quite possibly a weird racist motivation, if you think about it. Yeah. If you're saying to the police, "Oh, who did it? Black woman did it." Why? I mean, it could be coincidental. I got to wonder about that. It's purely speculatory on my part. But she did it to herself, mate.
On purpose.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, mate, this is the maddest didn't happen in the history of didn't happen. Basically, what she told the police that she'd been fucking, sprayed, and she basically sprayed acid in her own face.
What do you mean?
Yeah, it's wild as fuck. She has a history of self-harm and self-abuse, right? And she just fucking upped the ante. Was spraying acid into her face with a fucking window cleaner bottle, and just absolutely fucking wrecked herself.
Maybe it's the other way around then. Maybe because she didn't want anyone. Maybe she didn't want everyone to know she did it to herself, so she came up with an excuse. Maybe it's not as malicious as it seems.
Yeah, but they're not saying it's accidental. It wasn't like she was out there.
What I'm saying is, if she's got a history of self-harm, what if she did it, and then she was like, fuck, I don't want everyone to know I sprayed acid in my own face?
Well, I mean, she's gonna...
It is weird that she's added the black woman part.
Like. Yeah. Why? You could have just said I didn't see.
Yeah, exactly.
It's in my eyes too quick or something. Do you know what I mean? It's wild as fuck. So, I mean, and also I've got to say, if she's got that history of self-harm, why the fuck has nobody stopped her before she's got to acid face stage? You know what I mean? Like, why? It's like a mad, you know. It's like, but the police were investigating this and everything for ages, you know, because obviously acid, you know, a person out there throwing acid on people, pretty fucking wild. And yet she handed herself into the police while still suffering with the injuries and everything. Gave all these mad statements. Yeah, textbook didn't happen. Wild as fuck.
Admitted it as well, she says.
Oh yeah, it's out there now. The truth's out there. So I don't even know what happens, because the police are saying, obviously with the mental health aspect to it, they don't know if she's going to face charges for filing a false police report, which is obviously a serious crime. Now
she's very clearly mentally ill. I don't think you can do that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Let's just get her some help, shall we? I think.
Old.
If anyone's spraying acid in their face, they don't need any more stress, do they? There's no reason to give them more shit in their life when they've sprayed acid in their own eyes.
Maybe if she got convicted and she got put in like one of those prison hospital facilities,
I think
she might be better
either way, mate.
Yeah, maybe.
She's going to be in a mental facility.
She's not going to have access to acid out there, you know? So, be the best thing. But like, I just never heard a story like that. Like, I was just like, what the fuck? I got sent that. I was like, no way. But yeah, way. So, anyway, we can lighten the mood. A little bit of a victory for us, apparently. Now, this might be behind a paywall for you, Sam. I don't know, but let me know if you can and can't see it.
Sniff.
Basically, the long story short is we've been talking about these support animals on the podcast for a while now. And I think after yesterday's episode, you know that the my view on support animals is that it's just ridiculous. It is just ridiculous.
Unless they're specially trained.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Off. You better be the most... And it's good. Look, dude, there's only certain animals you can train to that degree. If
the animal's got a certificate, you can bring them on. If they've got some kind of qualification, like if it's a fire dog, bring him on. A canine, bring him on. Blind dog, sure. You know what I mean? He's got to have some sort of skill, though.
A skill?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you know, he's got to be able to sniff drugs or something, sniff explosives. He's got to, you know, the dog's got to have a job if he's coming on a plane.
Well, after what we showed you yesterday about how United are changing the requirements now for what is and isn't a support animal, which includes weight, species, and all of that shit. Well, now Delta Airlines, my favorite airline company in America, have said, you know what? We're now going to change the requirements for an emotional support animal, and you've got to register them way in advance. It's got to be absolutely proven. It's got to be absolutely proven that this is a support animal that's going to fucking help you out, and you need the documentation. Yeah, exactly. We're going to be reasonable. We just want to know what the fuck you're going to try and bring on our plane before you bring it on a fucking plane. Do you know what I mean? Which is like the most reasonable shit in the world, really, when you fucking think about it. Motherfuckers trying to sneak on... You know,
we're on a cage in the sky, motherfucker. If your pet chimps out, we're all dead. Like, I just want to bring my pet monkey on. Don't worry, he's really cool. Like, yeah, cool, until he starts eating faces.
Apparently, we got a Destructoid. We got a Mr. Destructoid. Is it? Fuck him. Is it me or you?
I don't know.
There you go. Hang on. Let's just have a look.
Might be gone by now, but I think they're all just having a rage over nothing. Yeah, see, it's fine. Save.
Classic chat.
Break. Probably had one crack going like, wait.
Classic chat. It's probably because I was leaning in right like this and shouting. Probably. So anyway, fuck the audience. I'm so glad that they're actually going to go down this route because, like, you know, some of the animals that will be wanting to come on are fucking dangerous, and it's like I keep saying it. You're in a fucking cage in the fucking sky, and like, let's just say I don't know, I've got to support fucking Great Dane.
Yeah.
Right? I've got to support Great. You've seen the size of a Great Dane? It's like a fucking small horse. Now, if that thing kicks off at 40,000 fucking feet, you're going to be like William fucking Shatner. You know what I mean? Like, there's something that we're gonna, you're gonna be losing your fucking mind. Like, you can't just be doing that. I don't give a fuck about your fucking feelings if you're gonna bring on like a support fucking werewolf onto a fucking fight. You know what I mean? Let's just be fucking reasonable about this. So I like to, I want to take credit for that. I think our podcast is changing the law. Now, one thing I didn't like, because obviously I don't like airlines in general, was I saw this story and I thought, this is cheeky as fuck. This is real cheeky as fuck. So a passenger tried to get on a plane. Now, I don't know if you've ever had this, but like when you go, like, you know, somebody that's flown a lot in the past, occasionally, like you might have some extra shit in your bag, or you might go one way and it'll meet the weight requirement, and then people give you stuff.
Yeah.
Or you buy some clothes and then you come back and it doesn't. And they're always trying to sting you for stupid charges. Like when I first started flying, it was just weight. And now it's weight and shape and size. And you got to put it in this little fucking slot like you're playing fucking Tetris.
When
and
I was flying back from America, like my bag was 2 kilograms over. And they said, oh, you better find a way to steal hide that in another bag, because if you don't, you're going to have to pay $200 for 2 kilograms. But I was like, it ain't exactly bringing the fucking plane down, is it, Drive?
To be fair, it was 2 kilograms of cocaine.
Big, yeah.
Obviously not true. But yeah, anyway, so we like it just, they're always trying to gouge you, you know, and I never liked it. Like nobody does it as bad as Ryanair, right? Where you literally have to pay to go to the fucking toilet. I'm pretty sure that's Ryanair, right? Or is that EasyJet? Hang on. Have I just
Gotta pay to go to the toilet?
Yeah. Is it Ryanair? Yeah. It's Ryanair. Thankful.
Are they?
Yeah. So if you want to take a piss on Ryanair,
that's good.
What do you mean good?
Because I'm sick of all these fucking grown adults, but you have to piss 16 times on a plane and have 3 shits, and I'm fucking sitting in the fucking aisle and they're getting up every fucking 30 minutes. Are you a fucking grown man, like, or an untrained dog? Stop pissing everywhere. Mate, I fly pretty, like, not super often, but pretty often, right? More than most people do. And I've pissed maybe, I don't know, 3 times in about fucking 40 flights, but...
Yeah, but listen, mate, come on. Like, you know, I get fucking triggered on planes, right? But like at the end of the day, like I've done it myself. Like, right, maybe it's one of those airlines where you don't get to assign your own seat, so you get put at the window seat, and you're rocking a hangover, so you've been chugging that water all day, and you can't help it, mate. Your bladder's like a fucking watermelon, just filled, ready to go, and you're getting up and you're pissing out that toxic sludge.
I've never had it. Like I can always hold in a piss. I've never needed a piss that bad. I don't know, but I feel like it's just fucking grown adult shit.
When you get older, you're not going to fucking be able to hold in a piss. I'll tell you that for free. I'll tell you that for free. You've got to come in. You're 22. If you didn't have a healthy bladder at 22, there'd be something wrong with you. But when you get older, mate, when you got to go, you got to go. You know what I mean? That's just real talk. I can't get through the night.
Yeah, but they're not even always old people, but it's usually like fucking young uns as well.
Well, you know, all right. Maybe they put in a
charge. But every time, like, oh, everyone has to stop trying to get to sleep because I need to piss for the 3rd time in this hour. Sort your fucking life out.
Well, anyway, basically on Ryanair, you pay €1 or £1 to have a piss. A pound of piss.
Pound of piss. Pound of piss. Pound of drink, a pound of piss. Got to fuck both sides.
It's like fucking Kaz Esports again. You can buy an esports org for £1, piss for £1. You decide. So anyway, they're always trying to gouge us. So one guy, he cracked it, mate. He cracked the fucking nut, right? He was about to go through, and they said like, oh, you know, you've got all these clothes, you're gonna have to pay a charge if you want to have them on the plane. So the guy just said, fuck it, I'm not doing that. So he put on all of his clothes.
Nice.
He wore them, right? He had 10 shirts on and 8 pairs of trousers on. Right? And they wouldn't let him on the plane.
What?
They wouldn't let him on with all of his clothes on.
If he's still fit, why not?
Yeah. And they were saying he was evading the excess baggage fees, but he just couldn't afford. Yeah, it was £90. He literally couldn't pay. And the guy was like stranded out in Reykjavik in Iceland, and he just needed to get home. He was like, please, I've got this return flight. I need to get home. So he put on all of his clothes and just thought he could get let on a plane, but they wouldn't let him on. And the airline is saying it's a health and safety risk, but for him, because they don't want to be responsible if he passes out from like overheating or something.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I can understand to a certain degree, but like, what's he supposed to do? Well, you know, what are the options here, Sam? Live in an Iceland airport for the rest of your life.
I like how they say, I could always just, you know, not in fucking, not engage the fee and just allow him to have the baggage and not be unreasonable.
Yeah, just let him, do you know what I mean? Just let him get on the plane. Like, once he's on the plane, maybe he can take a few layers off, sleep on him. Do you know what I mean?
I know, he's not a dog. He's not just going to let himself overheat to death, is he? Oh, I'm warm. I'm going to stay warm, or I'm not going to take off any of these things making me warm.
Are you all right, sir? No, I'm fucking... My brain's boiling. It's ridiculous, isn't it? I just thought that was cheeky as fuck, mate. I just thought, like, you know, just let him on the fucking plane. Come on. You know, we've all been there, right? You know, stranded or not had the money to get somewhere from point A to point B. I saw a story the other day. Fucking some people couldn't afford some baggage claim, and Keanu Reeves was just behind him, and he came from nowhere and paid all their fees.
Nice guy.
Yeah, look, I'll find that for you because I do like a bit of Keanu Reeves.
What about?
Yeah. Let me find it for you. There you go. This was also in January. Hang on, I'm not giving you that link. Where was it? Here it is. It's in the subreddit.
Do you reckon he did it though because he was like, they know I'm Keanu Reeves. Like, if I do this, everyone's gonna know Keanu Reeves is a fucking.
I don't know though, because actually, if you looked into Keanu Reeves, you know he's a pretty like down to earth guy. Still rides the subway. You know, he just does these like random acts of kindness. You know, like what Hillary Clinton used to pretend she did. Yeah. You know, when she went to the woods after the election. Just wandering the forest, doing random charitable acts. Keanu Reeves actually does live that lifestyle and isn't an evil old bitch. So, you know, but look, here it is. Lucas Santos. I was at the airport with my sister. We had excess baggage charges, but we didn't have the money to pay for it. Luckily, though, Keanu Reeves was on the same board as us and ended up paying for everything. Nice guy. Nice fucking guy, mate. It's a big fan.
He looks like he loves a bong it, by the way. Look how fucking hippie he is, mate. He looks like fucking John Lennon. Post-acid phase.
Yeah, but listen, mate, right? Think of the films Keanu Reeves has starred in. Bill and Ted, right? Yeah. Point Break. Come on. It's just a stoner's paradise. Obviously, Keanu Reeves, yeah. He loves a fucking blaze, no doubt about it. So... Right, anyway.
My bong dar is going off, mate. I can sense him.
Bong dar. Well, right, and then I'm going to do one more...
Keanu Reeves story.
I'm going to do one more funny story, and then we're going to get serious. No, all right, we're going to... No, it's no Trump.
Last episode, I was going to say, last episode, no Trump. This is full Trump.
Oh, no, yeah, no. Well, we'll get to Trump. We'll get to him. But I'll definitely show you this. Because remember how Elon Musk is developing a $500 flamethrower or something?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Seen this story, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why. There is
he's just making. I don't know. I think he just knows how to work social media really well.
Why is flamethrowers the thing?
Like, well, same as, have you seen like Supreme sell like crowbars and shit?
No.
You haven't seen that? No Supreme. Have you heard of that clause line?
Yeah. I've seen that.
It's like They sell like random shit like crowbars just with Supreme on it, like literally anything, like fucking whisks, just random shit. And it's just I don't know. It's sort of like an edgelord thing to do in it. It's like eccentric.
Yeah. So why? Do you know what I mean? Why would you make a flamethrower?
Because he is like supposed to be the genius of our generation. He's
but again,
changing transport, changing everything.
Right, okay. So I understand having a gun for home defense. I understand that. I understand having a gun.
I don't think the flamethrower is for home defense.
Yeah, what's it for? What else is a flamethrower for?
Shit.
Burning people, toasting shit. Right, hang on. You seen this fucking?
Yeah, it's not that big one. This because it can only be a certain size to allow it to be sold. I think it's like only goes 10 centimeters or something.
Yeah, just look. Hang on. He's apparently sold out as well.
Oh like, yeah, obviously
sold out. So I mean, let me just show you the fucking flamethrower demonstration.
Imagine doing a bong it with a flamethrower, mate.
I just don't know if I need it. Like, serious. The video's in here. Look, he's just having a mate. It's just spitting fire everywhere. Like you'll get an autoplay pop up there, by the way. But just go to the Instagram. Swatch, right? What possible?
Oh?
Yeah. What possible reason could you have for this?
The new hot.
Like, just click on it.
Well, that's way more than 10 centimeters.
Do you know what I mean? I just can't think of a fucking reason.
I mean, that ain't bad for a home defense weapon. Like if you're in the UK and you're facing a knife, a flamethrower ain't bad.
That's fucking unbelievable.
If I'm going up against a machete, I'll take a flamethrower any day against a machete.
Right, and then he also tweeted out that the flamethrower is sentient. I hope he's lying, but you never can tell with him. But like, why on earth would you want a $500 flamethrower? I just don't get it. Like, I'm serious. There's lots
a rich kid toy in it. Silicon Valley kid toy.
I don't know. But anyway, a woman has actually discovered a cheap alternative by accident, Sam. And
Links and like that.
No,
classic trick.
Wait till you see the fucking state on this, mate. So a woman got a hairdryer. This is so mental. A woman got a hairdryer off Amazon, right? And it was like, just some. It was called a salon grade hairdryer. She just ordered it, made by Oracore or something, and it just shoots fire out of it, Sam.
What do you mean?
I'm going to show you what I mean, Sam. It literally is a hairdryer.
Imagine you test it by blowing it in your face or on your hair first as well. And flame.
It's a hairdryer that just spits straight hot fire like 3-6 Mafia. It's mental. Right, so here it is. Just play this video. Drop the 3, 2, 1 when you're ready to go.
I've got a black screen.
It takes a while to fire this one up, mate.
3, 2, 1, go.
Fire is coming out of the fire.
Shock and disbelief, the reaction from Erica Schulbrett of Spartanburg after she says she purchased a salon-grade hairdryer on Amazon and turned the product on.
That's better than Elon Musk's, mate. That's fucking unreal.
Erica took to Facebook with her fiery video with a post entitled, "Talk About a Bad Hair Day," where the video has gone viral. We took the video to a place that dries a lot of hair, Obsession Salon and Spa in Spartanburg.
Holy.
Why are they just taking it to hairdressers? Because they sometimes use them.
That's incredible.
All right, so here it is.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Wow. It's like a blowtorch.
Yeah, you can see how excited they all are.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that one there. Like, I couldn't give a fuck.
I've been through a lot of hair dryers.
The stylists here say in
Good.
all the
What
years
an
they've cut
anecdote.
hair, they've never seen
I've
a
also
dryer
used a
shoot
hairdryer.
flames like the one in the video. They go through a lot of them too, spending
What
upwards
is this
of
news
$300
report?
on commercial grade dryers.
I have an infrared heated dryer.
Out of all the people we talk to, none of their hairdryers shoot flame.
When you get what you pay for, though. And that's with hair tools, products, everyday products.
Erica tells me Amazon refunded her the money
Oh,
and
so
took the
got my
product off
$20
its
back,
website
like.
after she submitted a product safety form online. But she has yet to hear from Amazon or the manufacturer, Oracore.
Unbelievable.
Fucking hell.
And scary. You don't anticipate buying a product and having that happen.
Shock and disbelief were her words once her hairdryer was spitting fire.
So there you go. If Oracorp can get a flamethrower down to $20, maybe Mr. Musk isn't as good as what he makes out. Right? Okay. Let's start getting serious because there was a ton of serious shit that went on. Well, not even serious, just stuff that we should probably talk about on the show, given our remit. And we've had like a show and a bit now where it's all banter and flamethrowers, local news. Now it's time to sort of get into some of the real shit that's been going on. Scared, I know, massively scared. Right. So let's start with. How serious do I want to make it? All right, let's start with this thing. If I said to you, coolest monkey in the jungle, have you kept up with this?
Oh, here we go, mate.
I warned you. Oh,
I thought we covered this already.
Oh, we didn't. We left it, mate. We left it where it belongs.
Oh, this. Can we
gonna
just
be
leave it? Can we just leave it alone forever?
No, I think we should get it out the way. We gotta put it out there. People want to know. Why? Do you think it's a road fraught with peril?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like all roads lead to danger.
I don't think so. I think it's pretty
I feel
fucking.
like everyone's just unreasonable around this topic, mate.
Yeah, no. That's the point. This was a super unreasonable fucking just whole thing from start to finish. So I'm gonna cover this. I think we need to. So just in case anybody missed it, this was the latest.
I'm gonna go have a shit.
You better stay right here, Sam.
I'm joking.
With buttons, but yeah. So for those who missed it, this was the story, the latest outrage monkey story on social media that kind of broke, which was about basically. There's a clothing company called H&M. You'll have seen them all over the world, and they had a hoodie advertisement for children's clothes for a very H&M are known for their affordable clothing, and they had a £7.99 hoodie, and it said "coolest monkey in the jungle," and people were outraged because it was being worn by a black child. Now. My initial reactions when I saw this were that it's all a little bit silly, and I want to qualify that initial reaction, right? Because I don't know, but when I was a kid, and it's what I mean. I've in Britain especially,
cheeky
right?
monkey.
Yeah, I used to get called a cheeky little monkey all the time. A cheeky little monkey. It was in all kids of all races, all creeds, all denominations. If you were being cheeky, the quality synonymous with the idea of an anthropomorphized monkey is cheeky. Yeah. So people used to say it, cheeky little monkey. In fact, this is referenced in a lot of TV around the era. One example that immediately springs to mind, if you ever watched The League of Gentlemen, a brilliant British comedy, which again probably wouldn't fly in 2018 because of the things it made fun of, like you can go find out yourself, but it's a brilliant show. They did a Christmas special which was structured in the same way as the horror anthologies, and one of their horror stories, which it's meant to be scary and funny at the same time, was they had a pair of cursed monkey bollocks, like testicles. And it's from a monkey called Top Of. And basically, the monkey used to have, fuck anything that moved. And in that TV show, they go, and Top Of was a cheeky little monkey. So, it's something that comes from affectionately attaching an animalistic quality to a child, which isn't a fully formed adult, right? So my initial reaction, as I said to this when I saw it, was this is a bit silly, really. Like you're putting something into it that isn't there and could only be there in the minds of two people. The terminally outraged on this side of the spectrum and actual racists on this side of the spectrum. And I don't constitute, I'm in neither camp, right? So initially, I thought it was silly. Now, with that being said, I do have to also say the idea that this could go through all stages of development and nobody pick up that this could be construed by this camp over here as being racially insensitive, it blows my mind. Because you also have to understand that the term monkey does have, unfortunately, in America primarily, it has a very awful history attached to it, for using it to sort of denigrate black people, okay? And that history doesn't go anywhere. Like the history behind the N-word, it can be used in hip hop all you want. People can reclaim it all you want. The history doesn't die. Like it remains the same. The root remains the same. The intent behind the word remains the same. And sure, words evolve and meanings change and our sensitivities towards certain words change, but the etymology remains. So the idea that you're a global company that sells in all over the world and nobody says, hang on a minute, this could be a bad idea. Like, just puts reservations out there. So, needless to say, it blew up. You had all the skeptic idiots saying, oh, it's political correctness gone mad. When in actual fact, I don't think anyone objects to the phrase coolest monkey in the jungle, right? It's just this juxtaposition of it being worn by a black child that seems to upset people. So,
but
maybe
at the same time, do we want to be at a point in society where we're limiting anything by race? You know what I mean? Are we really going to dictate who can advertise what because of, sensitivities?
Look, I think unfortunately where we're at right now, just globally within society, is we're in the middle of a very sort of rapid pendulum swing, which we're trying to correct. Wrongs and grotesque political views and everything else. We're trying to overcorrect them as quickly as we can because this is a time where, people are more interconnected and understanding each other's perspective is easier than it ever has been. So what we're doing is we're laying out all these perspectives side by side in this huge cultural melange in the current zeitgeist. And what we need to do is, people are like becoming more sensitive towards people's viewpoints and people are opening their eyes to other viewpoints. Now, of course, you're always going to get reactionaries that are looking to exploit that. And look, I've done it on the podcast before and still will, by the way. If I see something I think stupid on either side and I think it's pushing it too far, I'll definitely bring it up. But I'm never going to be one of the terminally outraged or one of these, like I say, the skeptic sphere where it's like, well, look what they're doing, making up a lie, going, they'll make it illegal to say monkey next. Like no one's ever said that. People push this shit too far.
Now, all that hasn't been said about this, though, I know we're probably going to get into it, is the mother of the child has said, when you're like a child model, you go in and you put on like 50 different clothes. And like people are acting as if H&M went out and did this intentionally. This kid just happened to be the one there to model those clothes. The only person who approves it is probably like one person. How many clothes do you think are on H&M? Do you think it really goes to the boss every time? Just we got a model coming in between this hour and this hour. He's going to model these clothes. Use 50 pictures. Get them on the website. There we go. Sound.
And here's what I will say. Because before I even broached this subject, I talked about it with some of my black friends. And in fact, some even brought it up with me because it was happening, while we were hanging out. And they all thought it was incredibly silly. And I'm not saying that applies to everybody. Don't make any bold claims to speak on behalf of the black community. And nor should my friends. But they said, they all thought it was a bit silly and didn't even really understand how it could be construed as racist. That was their opinion. So I don't know, but these are the times. And I think, like I say, even though my reaction is it's silly, it's one of those things that probably could be avoided. Does it need to be avoided? That's a separate issue. Not one necessarily I want to get into. What I will say is I absolutely don't think in any way, shape or form this advertising was racist, intended as racist. I don't think the black child model in this picture has been in any way demeaned or exploited. And again, it's one of those storms in a teacup that pop up from time to time. It's this manufactured outrage machine, is my opinion. Now, H&M, I thought, handled it just about as well as they could do. You know, this story broke on, I think it was the start of January, so January the 8th. And the very next day, after the outrage was sort of percolating, and look, and again, I will also listen to perspectives from black people who say, actually, I did find this offensive. And then, okay, I don't think being offended is any sort of special get out of the situation card, or we should listen to you. It doesn't give you any additional authority, but it's something to consider when you make any informed decision about advertising, personal interactions, manufacturing, whatever. It's just something that you should always consider. It shouldn't be the deciding throw of the dice. It shouldn't be the primary influencer. It's just something to think about, isn't it? And again, like if look at stand-up comedy as an example of this. If all your comedy was informed by, I don't want to offend people, comedy couldn't exist. Equally, if all your comedy was, ha ha ha, I'm going to offend everybody, and you just got up and you just started saying how much you don't like this race and this person and this religion, if that was your entire act, nobody would find it funny. You would just be a maniac. So it's about finding the balance of what works and where and when you can't go. The problem we've got, in my opinion, as we get into 2018 is nobody is allowing anybody to test boundaries. They see something, there's a mob-like reaction to it, and people immediately withdraw and retract. And, that's potentially dangerous, I think, for things like art, for things like, advertising, which is in no way artistic, but for product management, just for everything, for all consumable media and human interactions. So anyway, the next day, H&M issued an apology. It was really swift, and they said, there was a lot of people saying it was disgusting, and keep in mind that this was a range of clothing as well. It wasn't just like one slogan on one. It was all jungle themed,
like animals and shit.
Yeah, because obviously kids like that stuff, right? Like, I mean, I went to play in a jungle gym when I was a kid.
I had a jungle themed bedroom when I was a kid.
Yeah. So, I probably had like some animal thing. Kids like animals; they're fascinating to children. And for me, the jungle still conjures up this childlike, if again, this is what I think of when you say jungle. I don't think of people. When you say jungle, to me, even as an adult, it conjures up this idea of the unexplored, that kind of final frontier we have on planet Earth. There's only the jungles, the deepest jungles, where we're discovering like new species all the time and stuff, and like the bottom of the sea that we can't get to. These are pretty much, the only unexplored areas we've got left on planet Earth. But if you were to say the jungle to a kid, I'm sure they would think of that sense of adventure and animals and, what are you going to see? And it's exciting. So it's perfect for a kid's clothing range. But anyway, they did issue an apology, and, they were very swift in it. People said it might be neo-colonial, I think. And they said, like, the image of the child model has now been removed from all H&M channels, and we apologize to anyone this may have offended. As far as I'm aware, you can still get the product. You can still buy the hoodie. I don't think they withdrew it. No. Because, again, it was this juxtaposition that was apparently offensive to some, not the product itself, which, again, if they'd took a different child model, there's no issue here because of the connotation. So at that point, I kind of thought, well, it's definitely all over now, isn't it? And then the child's mother came out and said, like, oh, you're all being a bit silly, right? You're all being a bit silly. Which, again, as I said, I think that's the kind of prevailing reaction. Like, I understand why people might be offended by it, but I equally think if you are offended by it, maybe you're seeing something that isn't there and projecting a little bit, and maybe you've got a valid reason to project, but that doesn't alter the reality that I do not think this is a racist advertising campaign. At best, you could argue it's insensitive, it's ill thought out, and I'm not even willing necessarily to buy into that. So the mother came out and said, hey, you should just get over it, because this was the family was from Kenyan descent, living in Sweden, and she said, "I do not understand the outrage the image has provoked. I'm the mum, and this is one of hundreds of outfits my son has modeled. Stop crying wolf all the time. It's an unnecessary issue here. Get over it." Then she added, "That's my son. I've been to all photo shoots with him, and this is not an exception. Everyone is entitled to their opinion about this, but I really don't understand. But not because I'm choosing not to, but because this is not in my way of thinking. Sorry." So she actually got a little bit of backlash herself here, because people were saying, well, how could you sign a release form, and how could you put your son in this position? And it always comes back down to this thing. I think where a child is involved, I'm always of the mindset that maybe we shouldn't, can we spare the children the outrage? Can we spare the children having to become cognizant of the realities about all of that shit? They're going to discover it later on, I'm sure, But don't we want to insulate kids from some of the more harsher elements of reality, of the world? I think that'd be nice. I think kids grow up incredibly fast these days. And I think about, some of the things I could do when I was a kid that kids these days can't do. I think about heartbreaking stories of kids that, kill themselves before they're even 10 years old because they're being bullied on social media, or they're already aware that if they do something silly, it's captured forever, and it might ruin the rest of their lives. I really think where children are involved, wouldn't it just make more sense to be, all right, there's bigger fights out there, isn't there? There's bigger and more important societal fights than a child wearing a hoodie with the word monkey on it. And everyone's fine with it. The family's fine with it. The child actor's fine with it. The company was fine with it. I don't think this is going to be the thing that tears away the fabric of racial harmony in modern America. And it's got to be said as well, despite this being a Swedish family, the primary outrage seemed to come from American sources. So, people were going after the mother off the back of that. And I was like, well, how much worse? How much worse can it get? I've seen this before. Right? I've seen this, countless times. Somebody makes a product, someone makes an argument, said product is insensitive or is some way discriminatory against a marginalized group in society. There's a bit of Twitter outrage, a few Twitter threads, company removes product and apologizes, rinse, repeat, ad infinitum. Right? That's just how it is these days. That's how companies and corporations have to do business. Nah, didn't go down like that, Samothy. What you had instead was actual riots and vandalism in H&M stores, which sure, it was only in South Africa, but a large contingent of South African people felt strongly enough about this issue because of how it was presented in the media. They actually went out and destroyed H&M stores. Now, I've said this before. I fully support peaceful protests.
Not
always.
So much smashing shops to bits.
Nah, I don't think you should be going out and destroying stores because you don't like an advertisement they put out. And they went and they trashed it. And, they smashed windows, they smashed stock. And, at this point, the story started to take on a new tone because there was people out there, that said this was a good thing. And, again, maybe I'm being incredibly naive, incredibly stupid. Maybe I can't understand what it's like. Maybe all of those things are true. I don't think this is the way to make your grievances known if you want to, occupy the moral high ground. And, there was celebrities out there calling for a boycott. My view on boycotts. Absolutely, that's your right as a consumer to take your money, your trade wherever you want. But there was people cheering on the vandalism of the store, and saying that all the people involved in destroying property were fighters against racism, and I don't necessarily believe that. I don't think that's true in any sort of conventional sense.
Hasn't South Africa just been on edge lately? Anyway, it's been a lot of tension.
Yeah, maybe there has been some political stuff going on, and I'm certainly no expert. I've been my
vaguely following.
Yeah, my attention to African politics has been primarily occupied by the Liberian situation lately. I only have enough time to focus on. Africa's a huge country with loads of super interesting political things going on, and obviously Liberia, the limited amount of attention I've been fascinated by Liberia. I haven't really been paying a lot of attention to South Africa lately, but I don't know. It just didn't sit right with me. And the police had to intervene. They had to disperse groups of protesters by firing rubber bullets. I think at that point, if you're stoking the flames and saying yes, this is good, I think. Sorry, I did just say Africa's a huge country, didn't I? I meant continent. Sorry, God, that's terrible. That's faux pas. But
England is my city.
England is my city, exactly. Yeah, so Africa's a huge continent, rather. But yeah, I think when you look at everything that's sort of going on over there, and now you've got South African police, coming and firing rubber bullets at protesters, and you're egging protesters on, and you're a celebrity that doesn't happen to live in South Africa. You don't have any stake in this. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that. I think there's better ways to make a point, and I think always you should hit corporations in the pocket. That's the best thing to do.
The thing to make them listen the most as well.
Yeah, always.
They see profits are dropping, they're going to change something.
I think Africa is a place where there's enough going on without people who don't live there kind of stoking the flames of civil disobedience. And yeah, I think that's kind of irresponsible, honestly, even if you think it's the right thing to do. Now, where I'll sort of end this little bit of coverage was, if you want to of all the things to get outraged about, the hoodie seems to be a very strange one, because if you do think that's racist, and again, I'm not saying that's an invalid perspective, even if it's one I don't share, and if you do think that's incredibly offensive, and you do think it's worth protesting over, even to the point where you claim H&M stores should be vandalized. If you support all of that, I'd be very interested in hearing your perspective on some of the realities about H&M when it comes to their child labor usage, which seems to me an infinitely more important thing.
Weird that everyone ignores that, isn't it? It's almost like you can't throw stones from a glass house, and most people who would criticise them are using child labour as well, or other forms of forced labour.
No, but I mean, so there's loads of reports about this. You can Google this yourself. I'll just throw one up so you can see that this isn't just some deranged fantasy I'm concocting to try and make an argument against the people that were acting outraged over this hoodie. But H&M is kind of well known for one of the reasons it's able to provide affordable clothing is child sweatshop labor. And that's certainly by no means the only company that uses it. You all know the ones who do. If not, you can certainly go find a list. I think there's a website you can go and check out. I think it's called Clean Clothing, I want to say. Back when I used to be a bit of a more radical lefty. I think it's called Clean Clothing anyway, and it gives you a list of all of the clothing companies and all their many sins. But it is interesting, isn't it, that while H&M are in the spotlight over this thing that I do think is honestly, in the grand scheme of things, fairly benign. And again, maybe I'm wrong. I'll be willing to accept that. But yeah, I thought, like, surely this is going to come up now. And I waited and I waited and I waited, and it never did. It never did. And people, you see, this is a genuine reason to be outraged with a company, not a logo that might offend your sensibilities, not a slogan, not perceived racism where clearly none was intended. I mean, that's one thing we can agree on, I hope.
Yeah, exactly. Stop forcing malice upon people.
Yeah. Whichever side of the argument you're on, if you think it is racist or if you think it isn't, I think both sides can agree it certainly wasn't intended. Right? So, but this is like their factories in Myanmar, which, have 14-year-old kids working on giant looms and sewing machines to deliver these clothes, and you're outraged about the slogans that appear on said clothes. These kids get one of the lowest, and this is only a recent development. They get one of the lowest minimum wages in the world. The work is incredibly dangerous. The hours are incredibly long. And a lot of companies benefit from this all over the world. And if you want to be truly outraged about something, I would suggest being outraged about that, because these children lead miserable lives. Some of them get maimed, mangled in the machinery. Some of them are burnt out by the time they're like 18 from working incredibly long hours. A lot of the time their parents take the money anyway. They're doing it for the family, not for them. It's not like they're saving up to get out of the country. They're being exploited. And nobody gave a fuck about any of that. Nobody's trashing H&M stores over that. Nobody's out marching in the streets over that. So I gotta ask, where are your priorities? And if you want to take a long, hard look at a corporation and what it's doing, and what determines whether or not a corporation should be boycotted, maybe we could boycott ones that pretty much exploit third world child labor. Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe that's something we could turn our attentions to. So just a thought, right? Probably not. So I told you to get serious, Sam.
Yeah, indeed, going deep.
Do you want a palate cleanser? Do you want?
Yeah, a little bit of pickled ginger, get a taste of my mouth.
There you go. Oh, by the way, I'll tell you about this. Actually, I'm glad you brought up pickle juice.
Said pickled ginger, but close.
Yeah. No, listen. I never had this before. I was out drinking in Atlanta. Not that long ago. Well, prior to the major, and I went out and I was hanging out in a bar, and someone said, "Oh, yeah, let's. Do you want a pickleback?" And I was like, I'm not going to make the joke.
I'll swing that way you drive.
Flattered, but not interested. And he's like, no, pickleback, You have a shot of bourbon or, vodka, whiskey, or whatever you want. Pick your poison. And then what you do afterwards, you have a shot of the juice out of a pickle jar.
Isn't that supposed to be like a hangover cure?
Well, I don't know about that. I woke up with one.
I think it's like an herb, but it's probably not. But it's like a household remedy for hangovers. I don't think it really is.
So, yeah, the pickleback, and what it's theoretically supposed to do is you down the shot and then you down the pickle juice, and it takes away the strong, sour, awful alcohol taste in your mouth.
All right.
So the burn immediately goes.
Not bad.
Right. And I was like, there's no way that's true. So I was like, let's give it a fucking go.
Yeah, you pickle out.
I did. I got to admit, I was pickle rich. I got my shot. I got my pickleback. Did it. It works. It's like it immediately neutralizes the fucking burn in your mouth. Yeah, big, right? So I was like, wicked, let's do this all night.
16 shots of pickle juice and 16 shots of whiskey, please, drive.
Yeah, so I was like, let's do it, right? So I was out drinking all night, and I had about 5 or 6 of these picklebacks with a few beers and a few other shots. Here's a slight problem. obviously having a stomach ulcer.
Pickles will fuck your life up. Yeah, that brine will do you. You've been brined.
Mate, that pickle juice fucking wrecked me. I was in agony the next day. It was really fucking bad. So I think pickleback's like a one-off. It's like a special occasion. You can't.
Someone in here says in Poland they eat pickles after they do a shot of vodka. So there we go.
Nice, mate.
Please the burn.
It's weird. Who the fuck knew that? There's got to be someone smart enough in the chat. There's got to be someone smart enough in the chat to tell me the scientific reason for why that happens.
Maybe it's just because it's such a strong taste.
Yeah, maybe. But but weirdly, the pickle doesn't taste as bad either.
No, I wouldn't as bad. It's like vinegary, innit?
No, but I mean, it's like they cancel each other out. So then neither is as severe. Next time you're out here, I'll take you to a bar. Oh, they closed our bar, by the way.
Which one's that?
The front page news. It got shut down.
Oh, yeah, you told me.
Yeah, sad. Sad.
The Belushi bar.
Yeah, the Belushi bar's down.
Never forget.
Right, so look, I'll never forget. So I'll throw a couple of funny stories at you, and then we'll get back into the horror of serious stuff.
People are dropping the old pH values, by the way, something to do with alkaline and acid.
Yeah, I initially thought that. I remember enough about GCSE science to know about alkalis and acids and all that.
But that doesn't do anything with flavors.
I don't think that's necessarily what's going on there. Someone can tell me. Someone. Right, let's talk about you porn. I know you like porn, Sam.
Who doesn't?
I've seen. Who doesn't? Just an interesting aside. No. I've had loads of people fucking bring this up to me. Like, you get those hardcore fucking it's no fatpery, apparently.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's never happening. Nah, fuck that. But like back when I used to box and stuff, there was this idea.
Yeah. You start wanking for the fight. Build up testosterone.
Yeah, none of this is true though, Sam.
To stress you out.
Yeah, and this idea that like masturbation, like I've seen it peddled by a lot of like these pickup artists. This idea that like masturbation is a bad fucking thing for you, and it like stops you achieving all the stuff you want because it's an instant gratification loop is completely fucking ridiculous, isn't it? I think so, anyway.
They say this if it's like a great. I mean, it's all right. It's a good 6 seconds of fun after at the end. But they make it out as if it's like, oh my god, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I got to just do this all day. It's not that great.
Don't date robots. But yeah, just ridiculous. I thought a lot of people are vehemently against it. I see a lot of these, especially a lot of these right-wing kooks. They're always like, nah, be a Chad and don't masturbate. Fuck that, mate. I've got such limited time in my day. If I can slip one in, I'm fucking well happy.
Yeah. If I got 20 minutes to bust a nut, I'm doing it.
Yeah. So anyway, so I think it's interesting that porn. It always gets brought up in our circles. Comes up a lot, and one thing I've noticed is I don't know if people remember this, but there have been companies try and encroach into the world of esports, right? YouPorn being the most notable one. This is interesting. Wavepunk's here. Good guy. Rocket League caster says pickles are loaded with bacteria that improve your digestion, so it probably knocks out the bad chemicals in the liquor, but may have attacked your ulcer. Interesting. All right, good to see you, Wavepunk. So anyway, yeah. YouPorn have tried to get into esports. They've sponsored teams and everything else, and it was never going to happen. It was a bad idea. I could have told them this. Actually, if I remember right, I think I did an interview. I think I did their first esports interview. Let me just see. It's over on .esports. It'll take a while to find it because when they moved the database over, all the original SEO sort of died with it. But anyway, I'm pretty sure I did an interview with YouPorn Katie. Really weird thing that happens now, by the way, is people look at my fucking who I follow.
Yeah, it says you follow YouPorn.
Well, yeah, I do. I follow YouPorn Katie. Obviously, she's like one of the spokesperson for the esport thing. I follow a lot of adult entertainers, honestly. Some of them are really interesting. There you go.
I got it, man.
Oh, you found it, did you?
Yeah.
Stick it in the chat, homie. Let's have a look. Oh, excellent. So there you go. So yeah, this is back in how long was this? 2014. See what I mean? I've been at the cutting edge of esports for so long. It's terrifying, isn't it? It's fucking terrifying. But yeah, so I did the interview and we talked a lot about like how nobody wanted a porn sponsorship associated with their game. League of Legends didn't want it. I think they weren't allowed to enter a team in cell qualifier. No, but they weren't they told they couldn't go or something?
Oh, maybe. Yeah. That sounds familiar, actually.
Yeah, I think so. I think they inquired about CS:GO. I remember a few tournament organizers just being like, "We can't do this," because with the young audience associated with esports, and obviously you've got to be of a certain age, country dependent for pornography. Never the twain shall meet. And it was very clear to me that there was no getting away from it. They tried a bunch of stuff. They did the thing that was quite clever with the pixelated logo. They did, they branded it as Team YP, not Team YouPorn. Yeah. They tried to find ways, but it was just never going to work.
There's worse companies to have in esports than a porn site, by the way. There's definitely more evil about.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt, but the fact still remains that the taboos surrounding sex and pornography and everything else are always they're going to be there for some time. We're not conquering that anytime soon. And you'll find gun sponsorships and stuff like that before porn sponsorships come through. Like tobacco's out, that's gone. That can't sponsor anything ever again. That's dead. Alcohol, is like all being on it now. Drink response. It's in that halfway house, right? But anyway, yeah. So the you've got the Team YP, right? Now, what I quickly realized was that there was no way Team YouPorn had any intention of being a real thing. They're not stupid people. They knew that there was no way they could run a realistic esports team that was ever going to do anything. It just was
not going to win a major, are they?
No, but I mean, they're not even going to be allowed to enter tournaments.
Yeah.
So I was like, listen, they're just using the growth of esports to advertise their porn site. That's it. That's all they've ever done. They were never going to do it properly. Never. So
yeah, the thing is, right, do you reckon that works? Like, that level of advertising where after you see a YouPorn tweet, you go say, oh, I fancy wank. Oh, YouPorn talked about esports. I'm going to go on YouPorn and support the ecosystem.
No, let's think about brand awareness then. Let's think about brand awareness. Like, what's your porn search engine of choice? Pornhub, same. So how do you get?
But I didn't find that because it was a sponsorship.
No, I'm sure you didn't.
It's just a lot. I think it's probably the biggest site. I imagine it is.
Right. So, just hear me out, right? So, when you've got one, and it's just free pornography, right? Like, I don't pay anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
got like 40 million videos if I'm ever going to run out.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I am getting a little bit worried about this whole recommended for you thing.
I know, yeah, it's weird. Do you know what's funny? It's got like hot videos right now in the UK, and you can go by every country. So sometimes like, let's have an Albania wank today. Like, let's see what the Albanians are up to.
Man.
You know what I mean? Let's just have a worldwide wank. Like, let's look and experience some cultures.
Despite all the time I spend on it, I don't think Pornhub knows me at all, Sam. I don't think
so. Like,
the shit it recommends to me is like, never. Like, nah, that definitely does not tickle my fancy. You know what I mean? Like, MILF stuff, nah. Maybe when I was younger, but not now.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
Now.
It's not as cool once you're... Yeah, exactly.
That's the last thing you want to do. So it recommends shit. It just doesn't know me. But what I'm worried about is, how does it know? What kind of list is being stored with the American government? With the American government, right? Fucking, selling your data now.
Oh, mate, I've just come to the point where I've just accepted that the government know everything about everything I do, and they know from start to finish. I've just given up on it, but I feel like it's an easier life. Just accept that you'll never have privacy again, and it's easier.
Yeah, maybe.
It's either that or you live off the grid, and I'm not doing that, like.
And listen, you know, I've got to be honest as well, that there is like... so
I think I know what you're going to say, but...
No, you don't. I think
I do.
Go on, what?
Are you going to say there's a certain level of weird porn?
No.
Okay.
I wasn't going to go there. It's just like, you know, I'm pretty ordinary in my taste, but I'm just like super worried about that one. What about the accidental clicks? Do you know what I mean? It recommends something and you click on it. And then,
or you click on a thumbnail and then you go, what's this creepy shit? Get me out of this.
I want out. You know, that's... Do you know what I mean? But no, but one thing I will say about this is like the Pornhub experience is kind of like no other, right? Like and there is some hilarious shit. These Pornhub accounts, the fact that there are people out there.
I keep seeing unboxing videos on Pornhub, like unboxing my dildo, like, and then just riding it. It's like a YouTube video, and then she just rides it in the end. I'm like, what is this?
Mad, isn't it? Right, but like I like some of the fake accounts. The Preston Garvey Pornhub account is one of my favorite.
That is.
Right, so in Fallout 4, there's a guy called Preston Garvey, right?
Oh, right, yeah.
It's new to me, right? It's not a game. Fallout 4 is a terribly written game. You know.
Yeah, I didn't finish it. I got bored.
Yeah, and basically, like, you become, like, leader of the Minutemen, and despite being leader of the Minutemen, it's still on you to basically do all these fucking errands and shit. One of the way they create, like, everlasting... missions for the Minutemen is there's always a new settlement that needs your...
Another settlement needs your help.
Yeah. But mate, on certain videos, Preston Garvey is in the comments, and look, once you're done fapping, head east of Diamond City. I got word of another settlement. There's a guy out there doing this, Sam. There's a guy out there doing this. It's fucking brilliant.
Do you know what's funny is? I don't usually check the comments until I'm finished. Because you never want to read it before, because that's just going to ruin it. But like usually when I'm finished, I was like, you know what? Let's see if there's any bangers. And usually there's not. Usually it's just creepy shit. But every now and then you see something like this.
I mean, serious though, like this guy, he's all over Pornhub. Like this guy's a fucking legend, mate. Serious, love this dude. So anyway, you know, it's a pretty good site. So here's what I'm trying to say. And
Pornhub want to sponsor us?
I couldn't do it. I've got I think I've got a morality clause.
It'll still be cool if they offered it. So even if we can't accept it, just know we'd love to take it.
So anyway, basically, right, I understand what Team YouPorn are trying to do, right? I understand what Team YouPorn are trying to do. Everyone has the same product. The only thing that's different is the experience, right? And you've got to make yourself look a little bit cooler, a little bit more hip, a little bit more attached. And you've got to, do you know what I mean? You've got to encroach into the territory that way, right? So, that's what YouPorn are doing. And I saw a report the other day, and I was just like, they're at it again. They are using esports to increase their market share by basically making up some bullshit, right? And it is bullshit. This cannot be true. Now, I don't know if you know this, but apparently Overwatch, right, whose audience seems to just be, I don't know, like weebs and degenerates and stuff. I mean, I don't know. It's very strange. Overwatch is strange. I call it Tumblr Watch. I can't really take it seriously. But if you looked at Pornhub did a year in review, all right?
Oh, yeah. I think we showed these, and loads of people searching for Overwatch porn.
Yeah. No, but like Pornhub did their year in review. So, again, this is the two different thing. And out of all the top 7 searches was like Rick and Morty porn, fidget spinner porn, ASMR, hentai. Kurt Eichenwald was over there. Didn't mention Overwatch in their top searches, right? Yeah, apparently what Team YouPorn did is they put a report out. I'll give you the one that's on Double Tap, where they actually said that the Overwatch League launching was hurting was hurting their traffic. Like legit, dude. They sent some graphs.
Got the graphs and everything.
Yeah. Now this is a lie, Sam. This is nonsense. This is bullshit, mate.
I don't know, mate. Did you see the one about the Hawaii missile launch? And the pawn in Hawaii went all the way down, and then as soon as it went normal, it went back up. I don't know. That could be real, mate.
No. Right.
Pornhub don't usually lie about shit like that. They usually correct their stats.
Oh, I go to YouPorn for all my news feeds.
Pornhub's a reputable company, mate. They produce only factual numbers.
Right. So anyway, YouPorn. They put these graphs out, and they said on the inaugural day of the Overwatch League, YouPorn had a 9% drop in viewers beginning around the start of the broadcast, and the trend continued until the third game was over. And YouPorn experienced lower than normal traffic rates the entire first week of broadcasts. Which, it does make me wonder, what are you doing while you're watching the OWL, by the way? Bit weird. But for me, it just looked like a way YouPorn, a way to attach itself to the cool new hot thing and just remind everyone, hey, we're here. Hey, we're here, Preston Garvey. Come and post on our website. And they released a statement saying they have no hard feelings to the Overwatch League. This is how mad the timeline is, Sam. We've got YouPorn releasing statements about the OWL. This is how big esports has got. Right? We've done it. This is it. We are excited to find out who will win.
Fucking hell.
It's legit.
What is happening, mate?
We are excited to find out who will win and be the first Overwatch League champions, receiving a trophy and a cool $1 million bonus. Of course, we are also curious to see how you celebrate, and we'll be keeping an eye on visits to the site before, during, and after. So there you go. They're all about that fucking Overwatch League, dude.
Love it.
So I love it. Hey, you wanna get serious again?
Go for it. Fuck my face. Fuck it up.
All right.
Caught you off guard now, haven't I?
Sure, mate. Sure.
Not literally. I mean, with news.
I tell you what. Before we do another serious one, I just want to slip in just a quick one. Stop. Grow up, mate.
Just slip a quick one in behind drive, so I fuck your face.
I don't know what's wrong with you.
It's mental, aren't I?
Yeah, I've got problems. So anyway, I saw this tweet and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. Right now, there's a journalist out there called Thor Benson. I don't know if you ever heard of this guy.
His name's Thor.
Thor Benson.
Not bad.
And he's wrote over at like The Atlantic, The Daily Beast, Vice, Verge. In his Twitter bio, he brags about being blocked by Trump. And
oh, yeah, here we go.
Yeah. He's one of them, right? He's one of them. He's one of those.
I was so mentally ill. Someone blocked me. Look at me. Look how cool I am. I spanned every day. Yeah,
I've been blocked. I've been blocked by Trump. So, I've made it, right? I've finally arrived. Now, I saw a tweet the other day, and it's like a new level of pathetic. Like, I think currently, if you ever follow the account like Neon Taste, who's pretty funny, like what he always says is you can always judge how like deranged someone is by how quickly they get to Trump, whatever you're talking about. Nice weather we're having. Trump. Yeah, nice weather we're having. And Trump doesn't even believe in climate change. All right, okay. You're let's fucking dial that down. You're a bit crazy, right? So, it's kind of like the 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon game, right? But just with Donald Trump. And most people get to it in 1 or 2 moves. Like, you say, oh, there's this thing, and then someone will reply and then go, yeah, it's kind of, I see Reddit threads all the time, by the way, about CSGO, right? Like, I'll be browsing the CSGO subreddit, and people will just be like, yeah, Thorin's just like the Donald Trump what?
Sorry.
Yeah. In what
building no walls?
Yeah, in what way? In what way is he like the Donald Trump of CSGO?
Hasn't got a bricklaying B-Tech.
No. And they say all sorts of shit. I've been compared to Donald Trump. Everyone, it just gets brought up all the time. I saw one. I can't remember what it was. I saw one like just this morning while I was having my coffee and stuff, and they literally just pulled it out of nowhere. I mean, it was just insane. I think it might have been over the KNG stuff. Who fucking knows? But like, you just know these people aren't normal. You know, they're unwell. Like, because this is video games. And these are people who work in that industry, and there's no need to bring Trump to the table. No one gives a fuck, right? So anyway, Thor Benson. This is hands down the most pathetic thing I think I've ever seen, right? And that is saying something. No, mate, it's going to blow your mind. Now, you know?
What's Thor been doing though?
Well, you know Elmo.
I'm aware of his fucking work.
Right now, Elmo, right? For those who don't know, is a lovable red puppet. Yes, he's a red Muppet. He is from the Red tribe of Muppets, I believe.
Not a Muppet, he's a puppet.
No, he's a Muppet.
How could he be a Muppet?
It's on Sesame Street, he's a Muppet.
Is he?
Yeah, Muppets, that's what they are. All the Jim Henson Workshop stuff is Muppets.
Alright, fair dues. Yeah, he is a Muppet.
No.
That's correct.
Okay, so, you know, don't you ever...
Judge my Elmo law.
No, don't you ever miss-species someone like that again. Puppets and Muppets are two different things.
Well,
so anyway,
both puppeted, controlled by puppeteers.
Absolutely, but a Muppet is not a puppet, and a puppet is not a Muppet, Sam. So he's a Muppet from Sesame Street, and he's one of the more popular ones. He has a very childlike naivete about the world, right? And he's known for being quite a positive force. Now, the puppet...
Quite a positive
absolutely a positive force in society. This is what you're laughing at.
No.
It's Elmo. You can't... I defy you.
Jesus Christ.
I defy you to, if you're having a bad day, to go watch an Elmo video. Always put a smile on your face. Now, I will say this. He did appear alongside Hillary Clinton in 2004, but Elmo couldn't have known. So anyway, Elmo... Elmo's got a Twitter.
Has he?
Yeah, he has.
Elmo's not got fingers, mate. How is he typing?
He has got fingers.
Has he, or has he just got paws?
No, they're clearly defined. He's got the 3 fingers and the thumb. So anyway, Elmo will occasionally tweet out, you know, just positive, because that's what Elmo's about. He just tweets out positivity.
Why are you talking about Elmo as if he's fucking John Lennon?
He's good, right? Here you go, I'll give you an example.
Just resonated happiness into the generation, man.
Just
no
from
one
a couple
knew
of
what
days
was possible until Elmo was here.
Yeah, just from a couple of days ago. Look at that. Remember, Elmo loves you and believes in you. Heart. #Monday Motivation. You know? He doesn't have to tweet that, Sam. He's Elmo. He's made his money.
I'll tell you no, Elmo ain't tweeting that.
It definitely is
Elmo's
Elmo.
people are tweeting that.
No. Elmo definitely runs his
Elmo's
Twitter.
got shit on.
Oh.
Elmo's got Nick the Sling, mate.
Elmo's
the king of the Muppets now. He's probably the most well-known Muppet.
Right. Elmo.
Close to Kermit. Be a tough fight.
This is what Elmo is all about. Right? That's the Elmo I know and love. Despite being a celebrity who's been in the game for decades, made his money, got, you know, toys, action figures, guest appearances. As I said, unfortunately, was involved with the Clinton campaign at some point in 2004. Can't always be on the right
side. Where are we going with this Elmo thing, mate? I'm so confused.
You're going to see.
Is Elmo running for president or something?
No, he's not, mate. Elmo isn't. But I want to set the scene, okay? Because I think it's important to set the scene about just what Elmo's all about and what Thor Benson's all about and how mental this is. So Elmo, because obviously, really, this is just comedy. Really, I know, you know, obviously Elmo isn't real and it's an account, it's a symbolic thing, and it's a Muppet and it's a character, and you need to obviously remember all of this. But the Twitter account does tweet out just like nice stuff like that in line with the character. So Thor Benson, hard-hitting journalist that he is, Elmo put a tweet out
where he said he's got a cigarette in his mouth while you're so
I know,
fucking
and
cool,
he's cool as fuck.
Wow, like
right?
Fucking hell, I wish I could smoke cigarettes.
Right, so I'll bring this up, right? Elmo put one of his tweets out and said, "Yeah, baby." Elmo was so excited it's the weekend, you know? And Thor Benson replying with...
baby. I can't do an Elmo voice.
No, please never do that.
Can you do one?
Obviously, I can't.
The thing is, the reason I try to do it is because it's just creepy that Elmo's saying something like Austin Powers. Yeah, baby, it's the weekend. Like, what, is Elmo getting lit on a Friday? Like,
who knows? Who knows? He can do what he wants.
Elmo's getting turned.
He can do what he wants. But anyway, yeah, baby. Elmo is so excited it's the weekend. To which Thor Benson swiftly replied, "Do you think the president is racist, Elmo?"
Mentally ill.
No, but how fucked in the head do you have to be? Like, straight up, how fucked in the head do you have to be to reply to a Muppets Twitter account asking if he thinks the president is racist? I'd
love it if Elmo replied, just roasting him. Elmo thinks you shouldn't smoke. Haha. Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know what Elmo sounds like. And like you, I haven't got every fucking thing he's ever produced.
Just a fan of his work, that's all, Sam. But can you just imagine it? Just like, I'm a hard-hitting journalist. I write about politics for all his publications. Next target to take down, Elmo. Like, it blows my fucking mind. Blows my mind. And then he sort of later went like, "Oh, it's just a joke, guys." Brilliant joke, mate.
Good
Brilliant
one.
joke. If I wanted to be perceived as a hard-hitting journalist, that's definitely the joke I would make.
I gotta meme this cunt's face like with a cigarette.
Right, you go on YouTube.
Keep talking, I'll just...
Well, I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of a little bit worried if I keep talking about Elmo. You're gonna think that, you know, maybe I've got an unhealthy obsession with Elmo, which you definitely don't. Elmo's all right, in my opinion. That's all I'm saying.
It's not bad, like.
Yeah. Again, don't want to talk about the puppeteer. It's got a new guy now to make him move. Leave that where it belongs. We're just talking about Elmo. So look, we're probably... do we need to dive into another serious one for a little bit?
Yeah, let's do it. While I mess with this guy's head.
All right. Okay. James Damore. You remember him?
Yes, the Google man.
Yeah, Google man. Referred to in the media as an alt-right darling these days. For those that haven't been following this story, James Damore is a guy who used to work at Google, internally circulated a memo that committed the cardinal crime of saying that men and women might be different, and if we analyze those differences, we might arrive at a conclusion as to why there aren't more women working in STEM fields and tech fields. And he said some things that were mischaracterized by the media, of course, because the memo was leaked and it went public. And since then, he's found himself in this very weird position of being lauded by people that don't want big tech companies to be discriminating against people that don't share ultra progressive politics, and also sort of being vilified by the people who do have those politics as something he clearly isn't, which is a Nazi, etc., etc. A lot of people have ignored the fact that he's on the autistic spectrum when criticizing him. And look, it's like I said when we covered the memo over 2 episodes. We did a 3-hour special in this channel covering the memo in particular. And my take was this. He probably shouldn't have circulated that memo internally at work. Apparently, people came back at me and said, "Listen, I like how he looks like a Dalek now, Sam, with a cigarette."
We're giving him a bald head.
And they said that he was actually invited to share the memo and give his views. Okay, which is, maybe that's true. I did read that in some publications, but the boundaries blurred, and I still think there was some things in there which I can understand an employer kind of being a bit like, look, what the fuck. But
I think most of those came out after the fact, though. Like, I think the current story is now.
Yeah.
He wrote it on like an internal message board after being requested to submit feedback.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. Yeah. So
it sat there for like months apparently, unnoticed until it got leaked.
Yeah. So that's fine. And as I said, I don't necessarily disagree with some of his points. I think we do live in a weird moment in time where we have to simultaneously be sensitive about people's differences without acknowledging those differences exist. I'm not quite sure how you walk that tightrope. And, I'm sure I struggle with it. I'm sure lots of people struggle with it. It is quite weird, isn't it? That we can acknowledge that these differences exist, that all statistical data bears out that certain differences exist. And yet we mustn't ever say that the trends can be applied to individuals. We mustn't ever do that. So it's very bizarre. And again, I'm not sure what the right way to sort of move on from this bizarre moment in time is. So anyway, James Damore has been sort of held up and lauded on one side of the argument, demonized on the other side of the argument. And then what he did was he decided to file a class action lawsuit saying that he had been discriminated against by Google, and indeed they had practices at work that discriminated against what he described in the lawsuit as white conservatives. And we'll bring up the report on TechCrunch for this. And like I say, he was fired in August for posting the memo on an internal Google message board. And even in this TechCrunch report, they misrepresent what he said. There was no point where he said the women were biologically less capable. He didn't say
there was differences.
Yeah, he said there was differences in trends, and maybe people preferred certain things and had different aptitudes and specializations. That was it. And you can go and read that yourself. So he did this. And anyway, now he's got this class action suit going on, which he's actually crowdfunding. And I'm kind of neither here nor there on the lawsuit. It's definitely his right to pursue. I support anybody who wants to push back against perceived discrimination in the workplace. If you think an employer is discriminating against you or a group of people, and obviously they're legally not allowed to do that, definitely stick it to them. But what he did was, in the lawsuit, he included a bunch of tidbits which really are almost designed to embarrass Google, but not through maliciousness. It's just that it is embarrassing that this is going on at a big company like this and behind closed doors. It's a little bit crazier than you think. I mean, one thing, just before we get into the details on the lawsuit, as soon as James Damore got fired from Google, he found himself being attacked by this Silicon Valley, and it's a very weird environment, Silicon Valley. It does have these cultish elements. You see it with a lot of games development companies. You see it with a lot of tech companies. They're very cultish in their behavior, very territorial. And there was a guy from Netflix called Dave Temkin, right? And I don't think he's any longer at Netflix, but look what he did here. This is just so crazy. He saw James Damore in a public place. This is back in September, so right. Shortly after he was fired. He saw James Damore in a public place at a festival, and he was getting jiggy with a woman at a fair, right? So this Netflix executive, the vice president of global networks for Netflix, noticed him, and then without his consent or permission, took 2 photos of him while he was getting amorous with his girlfriend, and then tweeted it. This is insane. This is an insane reaction. Yeah, he's already been fired. And you can see, look, yes, James Damore even atted him. My friend was looking at you like that at Folsom. I guess your girlfriend doesn't like it when others subjugate you. So he was like trying to make a point as if to say any of his views shared internally was subjugating anyone, which clearly they weren't, because first of all, he held no power over these people. We're always told that institutional power is the true measure of oppressor versus oppressed. And he was fired. So clearly the system didn't protect him, despite it being a dominant patriarchy that protects its own. So interestingly enough, he was fired directly by a woman CEO. So I find the patriarchy arguments in this case very strange indeed. But anyway, this lawsuit came out, and some of the shit in this, Sam, is fucking mind-blowing. It's like, this is strap yourself in stuff.
Hang on, I need a piss, so give me 30 seconds, and we'll get booted in. So you give the preamble.
Run an ad? Run an ad.
Right then. Hang on.
Yeah.
Right, quick break. Be back in a few seconds.
Right. Obviously, we'll chop that out in the VOD for YouTube. Congratulations, Sam. You just made some work for yourself with that piss. But just look at some of this stuff. So, revealed in the lawsuit was that an employee was given a financial incentive, a bonus, for disagreeing with James Damore on that thing. So they incentivized disagreement with his perspective. You can see that. Yeah. Well, no. This is nothing. Trust me, dude. This is nothing. You're going to see some shit. So you can see here it says there, not only did Google terminate Damore for his political views relating to workplace issues, but they rewarded individuals who disagreed with and disparaged Damore. The Google recognition team allowed employees to give fellow employees peer bonuses for arguing against Damore's political views. Peer bonuses were typically reserved for outstanding work performance or for going above and beyond an employee's job duties. Defending the liberal agenda or defending violations of California employment law is not in any Google employee's job description. In one example of this, an employee gave a peer bonus to another employee and stated the bonus was for speaking up for googly values and promoting diversity and inclusion in the wretched hive of scum and villainy that is Damore's memo. Nice Star Wars reference. Okay, fine. What else? There was, I believe, there was a blacklist, and they've escorted people off premises for certain political views. That came out here in the lawsuit. So there was this. You can see here on August 26, 2016, Curtis Yarvin, a well-known conservative blogger who had ties to Steve Bannon and Peter Thiel, as well as other members of the Trump administration, came to the Google office to just have lunch with an employee he knew. This triggered a silent alarm, and security came and escorted him off the premises. And basically what they did is they had a blacklist of certain personalities that would not be allowed in the Google building, and if they came anywhere near it, security would be immediately alerted. Alex Jones was on that list, incidentally. Which
Globalists are stopping me from going into Google.
Yeah, I don't know if that's I don't know if that's a good thing, actually. So, are there any pedophile vampires in here? Alex, you got to go, mate. Like, you're too much, brother. So there was that. Let me see what else there was, because there's a bunch of stuff. They also wanted to put together. This was one employee wanted to put together a more expansive blacklist in the tech industry. And this was shared again internally, much like James Damore's memo was. And you can see what they think about it here. They said, if we really care about diversity in tech, we don't just need to chase serial offenders out of Google. We need to discourage them all throughout the industry. We should be willing to give a wink and a nod to other Silicon Valley employees over terminable offenses and not send the worst parts of tech packing with a smile and 3 years of employment at Google on their resumes. So, in other words, they want to be able to say to other tech companies, hey, we fired this guy because his politics don't align with ours. And we strongly recommend you don't hire him because we're pretty sure your politics aligns with ours. I mean, this is grotesque. This is very anti-American. This is very discriminatory just in its nature. And seems to me just beyond the pale, honestly. Now, to give you a real-world example, because obviously I used to do some trade union work in a past life, and I don't know if this ever got passed, but around about the time I got out of the mobile telephony industry.
I like that word, telephony.
Yeah, when I got out of the mobile telephony industry, they were passing a law which said if you got fired from a previous job for theft, or theft or fraud, because what used to happen was you would find that mobile phone salespeople would go, they would do a load of erroneous signups, a load of bullshit, create a whole load of problems, get their bonuses, get fired, and then they would just go to the next mobile telephone store, Phones for You, Car Phone Warehouse, whatever it was, and do the same shit, and they could just keep doing it, right? So they wanted to pass a law that said if they were fired on those grounds, you could reveal that to them. But in general, in the UK at least, an HR report can pretty much only say whether or not you left or were terminated and whether or not they would re-employ you. That's it. They can't go into the specifics. You're protected. So this is like just so grotesque to me. Given my experiences, I thought that was, just like, I couldn't even believe anybody would suggest that unironically. And there's just a ton of stuff like this in the memo. They had, let me just see if this was here. Yeah, there was also this email that was shared again. This is on their internal messaging system. And one of the things that came up in this lawsuit was they actually were sharing information with other employees about how to join Antifa. Now, again, look, whatever we're all anti-fascist, right?
Real fascism, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I think we all know that the term Antifa, it's co-opted. They're not really against fascism at all. That's not what they're really against. And they certainly don't behave in a way that would make you understand that they themselves are not fascist in nature. Like, we're all Antifa. Apart from the actual card-carrying fucking Nazis that want to bring us into a police state, want to bring us into an ethno state, want to lock people away in camps and exterminate certain types of people. Fuck those scumbags. Get rid of them. Put them, fucking, as soon as they do anything illegal, lock them away. Right? We're all anti-fascist. The problem you've got with Antifa is the organization. Like a lot of organizations that aren't what they say they are, like, I don't know, National Socialists, for example. They've co-opted a term that makes them sound benign when actually they are effectively a terrorist organization. And this has been recognized by, law enforcement agencies throughout America now. This isn't like right-wing rhetoric. This is a fact. They are recognized as a terrorist organization in multiple states, and maybe even at a federal level. Let me just check that. I don't want to get that bit wrong. So it's, so several U.S. security agencies have said that Antifa, the Department of Homeland Security have said that Antifa is a domestic terrorist organization. So it is concerning that somebody at any company would feel comfortable internally saying to a fellow employee who says, well, I guess it might be time for revolution. Hey, here's what you can do. You can go and join these guys. Now, let's be clear. In there, he talks about the Occupy group. I don't think the Occupy group were the same as Antifa. From what I know about the Occupy group and from what Tim Pool told me with the Occupy group, they did just literally occupy. They were in tents. They were in the way. It was a very peaceful protest. There was no violence. Obviously support that. And honestly, I was so vehemently anti what had happened in the financial sector when it crashed, the economy in the West, and we had that global recession. I was very much behind the Occupy movement. I don't see why.
Did it really do anything though? Like occupying the street? Did it actually? I don't get. What was their point? Did it actually make it harder for bankers to get into Wall Street? Was that literally the employment of the kids?
It was just more of a raise awareness kind of thing, which I think, which is look, and at the end of the day. They were there for a long, long time. These people put themselves out, you got to respect that level of commitment. And as I've said repeatedly, one of the most grotesque, criminal conspiracies that were ever pulled on the American people was what happened during the time of that global recession with fixed LIBOR rates, bank bailouts, which came out of your pocket, and yet bonuses were still being increased. Banking bonuses. Well done. You've brought the West to the point of complete financial ruin. Here's some money. Here's some rewards. Barely anybody went to prison. Barely any banks went under. It was grotesque. So, whether you think it was a stupid protest because it wasn't necessarily effective, if anything was worth protesting, it was what happened in 2009 or whatever. So right, back to this. You've got hey, why not join up with your local terrorist organization, which I think is pretty insane. There was a funny thing as well in there. Let me just see if I can find it.
Get in touch with your friendly local Antifa.
Let me see if I can find it. Because I'm sure they had something where it was like they actually said that it was okay to, like, they committed to saying the Google HR department committed to saying it's okay to discriminate against white people. And obviously that's going to be a problem for them. Where was it? Sorry, I'm just going through it. It's a pretty big bunch of images and stuff. Was this it? Okay. Yeah, here we go. I think this is it. So this was again from 2015. There was somebody in the developer product group, and the post said, if you put a group of 40-something white men in a room together and tell them to come up with something creative or innovative, they'll come back and tell you how enjoyable the process was and how they want to do it again, but they will come up with nothing as a result. They actually said fuck all in the memo. And then the Google employee said this statement actually violates the Google Code of Conduct because it targets men over the age of 40, white men over the age of 40. And Google HR said, yes, this post does actually highlight that it's helpful to have diverse perspectives. So it doesn't help that the post appears to violate our policies. So they've even admitted that internally. You know what I mean? And it's like, look, I always feel a bit weird when you go down this rabbit hole where you end up talking about like discriminate. I just think if somebody's got a fucking good idea, or if somebody's capable enough to do a job, like I say, I've never looked at anything past that, for employment or assignments. You just say like, hey, whoever you are, yeah, come on board. Love to hear what you have to say about it. So there's been a ton of stuff Like, honestly, that lawsuit was a fucking gold mine. I want to see if I can find as well. There was somebody. Yeah, this was up. Well, oh God, I don't want to link to the Christian Post. Is this it? Here we go. So they actually had somebody in the lawsuit was identified, and Tucker Carlson obviously ran with this. He loved this shit. And Tucker Carlson went through it with a fine-tooth comb. But you can see here he tweeted out about it. On page 27, there was an employee who, when they had to give their description of, like, because they need the demographics, so you have to say, like, what race you are, how you identify or whatever. And a Google employee said they sexually identify as a yellow-scaled wingless dragonkin and live as an expensive, ornate building.
Expansive.
And I think expensive. I think they meant maybe. And Google had this individual talk to other staff at one of these sessions, one of these diversity sessions, to give a talk called "Living as a Plural Being." Like, this isn't fake. That's real. That is in a legal document. So this lawsuit's like just so crazy. And you can imagine the backlash that's gone on. Wired have been writing about James Damore and saying, hey, his lawsuit is a disgrace and nobody should take it seriously. Well, I don't know about that. There's definitely some concerning things in here. Like, you've lifted back the curtain now, and you can see what's going on at Google, and it is a bit weird. I'm sorry to say that. It's
especially when those cunts own all the data on every person in the world.
And Damore's,
I want to know what's going on in that company. Weirdly,
yeah. And Damore's not said anything that is racist. There's maybe an argument for sexist. I don't think so, though. He hasn't said anything prejudicial. And he was fired over that. And now he's like, look, and this is what's going on for other, employees. They have to live under this sort of, employee tyranny. We remember, from the previous episode of the podcast, how everybody misquoted him and said he got the gender bias wrong, even though there was studies that pointed exactly to what he was saying. You can talk about the veracity of those studies. There's studies that certainly go the opposite way. This is the problem with sociological sciences. You're going to find one thing and another thing. But Wired now have sort of given a mouthpiece to Google to say that they're coming after whistleblowers, basically. And this is really worrying. They were so embarrassed by this lawsuit.
That's always good when they go after the people who are exposing wrongdoing.
Yeah, and it just makes me feel really...
That's a bit of a drawn Edward Snowden vibe to it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I don't like it at all. Let me see if I can find the article. Here it is. So this was over on, I think, is it Breitbart or was it Wired? Yeah, here it is. So yeah, basically, they did it on Breitbart as well, which I'll just link to. Alan Bakari, who I know has been following, like, one of the responsible reporters over at Breitbart, right? Not one of the fucking, lunatics that, there's no global warming or, all the other fucking bullshit that's over there, all the race baiting shit. Just actual good reporter that Alan Bakari has been covering the Google thing from start to finish. They actually had a bunch of whistleblowers go to Breitbart, and they say, that when they did this interview with him, which in fact actually, yeah, here we go. You can go to the original Wired piece actually, so we don't get hit with a Breitbart stick. But basically, yeah, they did this interview. And he said, like, we're going to make sure this stuff doesn't happen again. We're going to go after the people that have embarrassed the company in this way. And it's like, I don't know about that. I don't know how comfortable I feel. Like I would feel saying that. Like while there's a class action lawsuit going on. I don't really think that helps anyone. So this is like the senior vice president saying it as well. So yeah, I'll get the exact quote. Yeah, he plays the doxing and harassment card. He says, sometimes I am saddened, taken aback, disgusted by the thought that there are Googlers coming to work filled with hate towards their colleagues, referring to people on the James Damore side of the argument. I'm not even sure what adjective to use, but it's sad. No matter the topic, there's just no room for hate at Google. But then again, I remind myself that 99.99% of our colleagues do not fall into that group, and that we can't let a small fraction of employees dominate our thoughts, feelings, and culture. That makes me hopeful that we can overcome the attempts to create a culture of hate and fear. This is over a memo that just pointed out that we're a dimorphic species, by the way, and maybe we do have some differences in our preferred preferences.
Nah, but fuck science, mate. This guy's mental. He don't deserve a job.
And he goes, but that is little comfort to the Googlers who are being doxed or harassed. I hope we will identify those behind this reprehensible conduct. All Googlers are responsible for upholding a workplace and culture that is free of harassment, discrimination, misconduct, bullying, and retaliation. Not the people who leaked the James Damore memo, though. Not those people. So, really odd. Yeah, really strange. And something that looks like it's going to continue while the lawsuit does. So I wanted to pick up on that and just be like, look, that is going to be super interesting. If it actually makes it into a courtroom and there's no settlement and there's testimony and more legal documents coming out, that's going to be straight fire. Because that is, like, Google is like the proto Silicon Valley cocooned away cult to end them all. And again, as you said, these are the ones that have your data. These are the ones that have employees that have publicly said they want to change the way the search engines work, that they want to hold people accountable based on what they publish on the internet. You know, it's really terrifying. In fact, actually, I think Google. Do you remember we covered the fact checking thing they had? They had like a bunch of. They had a bunch of fact check. Basically, this is also from January, earlier in the month. So what they had was something called the fact check project, because everyone's obsessed with like all fake news and. It hacked the election. You know, people were being misinformed. Let's just remind everybody of how this went. The DNC started the term fake news to talk about publications like the Daily Caller and stuff like this. And yes, were there fake stories published about Hillary Clinton? Absolutely. Were there absolute bombshells that came out of places like WikiLeaks? Yes. Somehow this all got conflated. I remember briefly during the election, WikiLeaks links got banned from Facebook. You couldn't post them. They just wouldn't work. We've seen account suspensions on Twitter. So what the Republicans decided to do was take the fake news and start calling the people who clearly had the pro-Clinton agenda fake news. And unfortunately, what you'll find with all news on both sides, people lie to suit their political agenda. The left is the same. The right is the same. It's horseshoe theory. And obviously there was plenty of notable examples of big news companies putting out stories that actually weren't true or were shoddily checked or clearly had a bias in the presentation of the facts. Now, if you look at the Republican campaign and how it was run, and make of this what you will, that you'll notice they had short, sharp, staccato phrases: build the wall, make America great. all memorable buzzwords, and fake news became one of them, and it was chanted like a mantra ad nauseum, to the point where the left-leaning press were like, oh, I don't like this. It's been reversed. It's been mirrored. We were never meant to be fake news. It was the other publications, the blogosphere, that was meant to be fake news. But they got the whole standard was applied to everybody producing media, and all of a sudden it was a bad thing.
Weirdly, so now get caught off for that, make rules and then get slapped by them further on.
So now what they had to do was they had to start saying, we need to make a distinction between what is fake news and isn't, because we thought we could put a term out there and it wouldn't get appropriated and used against us. So to them, now fake news doesn't mean getting a news story wrong. Absolutely not. You can get a news story wrong as much as you want, and as long as you're on the right side of the equation. If you publish falsehoods and you're a big media company, you're not fake news. If you publish falsehoods and you're a small media company, then you absolutely are fake news. So what started happening now is big tech companies have talked to the big media companies and said, yes, absolutely, we will put checks and balances in. Why do you think Facebook is no longer allowing news links? Do you think that's got anything to do with this? Oh, yes, absolutely. Why do you think Twitter for a time had a flag that popped up when you linked to certain publications? Why do you think this fact-checking project on Google, in line with Snopes, itself a partisan publication, why do you think that happened? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you why that happened. Because they needed to look, and listen, misinformation is bad. I need to say that. Breitbart's guilty of it. The Daily Caller's guilty of it. Every publication across the world has a writer or an author or an agenda or something that leads false information to go out there. The lesson you should learn from fake news is that you should critically think about all of the media you consume, regardless of the source. I can't make that any clearer. This isn't me going to bat for any friends you think I have, because I'm not right wing. This isn't me criticizing the lefties. This is just a fact. You must think about what you consume. So anyway, Google started doing that for you. And what people quickly realized was that the fact-checking algorithm, the fact-checking project itself had a bias. It never flagged left blogs. It never flagged liberal blogs, even if they were wrong. It pretty much only ever flagged blogs that were supporting the Republican agenda, which, yes, were wrong in a lot of instances. And the Daily Caller published this and listed it, and they wrote off to some of the advertisers and people that work with Google's parent company, Alphabet Inc., and in the end, they got rid of it. They said, you know what? Yeah, you're right. We're going to suspend the fact-checking project. It's not fit for purpose. But I remember it when I went out there and I typed things into a search engine, it would come up and it would go, the site you are about to go to, it cannot be trusted. Like, oh, thanks for having my back, Google. And that is worrying and dangerous because it's a search engine. It's not...
You're supposed to just tell me what exists, not tell me what to believe.
I will do the rest. I will disseminate the information, right? Publications should be held accountable by things like the Press Standards Commission if they publish false information. And again, I don't care what side of the equation you are on. If you publish demonstrable lies, like there was one on Breitbart the other day, which was a fucking disgrace, made my fucking blood boil, where they tried to link some Syrian refugees to an attack that happened. And it was just nonsense. They just completely got it wrong. Right? And it's irresponsible and it's garbage and they should be penalized for it. And honestly, the journalists that do that should be fired. But I guess it suits Breitbart's agenda to keep them on. So fuck them, but cocooned away in the tech section where I worked, there was some good reporters that were picking up stories that nobody else was touching. Alan Bakari's one of them. I'm sure he's got a bright future ahead. He's a good reporter. This is what I'm saying. It's the same over, look at MSNBC or whatever. So you gotta understand that there is bullshit out there, but it's not the job of a tech company in Silicon Valley to disseminate what is true and what isn't for you, or here's what you should read. YouTube were doing this. Click on a video by Sargon. They say, hey, check out this Anita Sarkeesian video for the counter argument. You know, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe I'm already.
If I see some holes in this argument, perhaps I will.
Yeah, perhaps I will. Exactly. So you had all of that going on, and then here's where it gets really bad. Governments now, because of all this fake news hysteria, guess what they've got? They've now got the mandate to create laws, and everybody thinks this is okay, and it's not okay. 2 countries have done this now. This is over at The Intercept, Glenn Greenwald. Again, a journalist I respect, even if he did get a little dose of the old TDS. That's the Trump derangement syndrome. It touched so many people. Here is his report on it. And it talks about how France, which I think we mentioned after the election, they banned a bunch of news sites. News sites came together with Facebook to keep pro-Le Pen news sites off Facebook. And now Macron's been elected, and he's changing the laws. So action can be taken against anything labeled fake news. And now Brazil are doing it next. The equivalent of the FBI, the Federal Policia, or whatever the fuck. Policia Federal, sorry. They are now passing laws to stamp out fake news. And you might think this is a great thing. Indeed, I would love it if I thought this couldn't be abused. But I'm going to take a guess and say it probably can. Yeah, it probably can. Can't it? And here's what's interesting. The work in Brazil, the group that's going to be working has a controversial right-wing Supreme Court judge called Gilmar Mendes on it. So it's the righties in Brazil that are going to run with these laws. And that's the thing you've got to be fucking terrified of. Because what might sound a good idea to you now, politically, isn't.
It happens every time.
Yeah, it's not going to be. You're not going to be on top forever, my friends. It doesn't work like that. It's going to get abused. It's going to be used against you at some point. So I don't know what to tell you, but this is happening. And if you cheer on state-approved censorship, especially in a country with Brazil, which ostensibly still has a military dictatorship, if you support state-approved sponsorship of media outlets, you are going down a dark road. And once you start saying, oh, and we'll get the tech companies involved, that's the tech companies that have all your data, all your information, know what you like to do. Bad. I don't know what to tell you. It's bad. It's really bad, guys. So anyway, just wanted to put all that out there. Watch that lawsuit. More crazy stuff's going to come out. Let's wrap up with some funny stories, and then we'll decide what we chop in and out of this VOD. We'll definitely keep the whole Elmo bit in, though.
Yeah.
Love my Elmo. So I did have a couple of funny ones to end on, or funny-ish ones. Let's start with a new way to get high, apparently.
I'm always interested in that, mate.
I thought you might say
What's
that.
going on?
Back when we had Trash Talk going, one of the regular callers used to call in, and he was obviously like a pharmacologist or somebody who had like an interest.
I think we call him.
Yeah, or a space cadet to use. Yeah, the title we all prefer. And we used to talk on the show actually quite often about things like, Thomas, that was it, yeah. Performance-enhancing drugs in the esports space and what should and shouldn't be considered it, the evolution of nootropics and stuff like this. Used to have super long, interesting conversations, usually while having a beer or whatever else. And it was a great show, and it was always welcome, and Thomas used to come on and talk about that stuff. Now, I always had an interest in pharmaceuticals. It's always been part of the Richard Lewis show. We've talked about stuff that's going on, drug trends. Well, I just couldn't believe this. Apparently, with this big clampdown on what they're calling the opioid crisis, which, by the way, I still say this, the crisis, I don't know if I want to call it a crisis. There's a bunch of people that do need opioids now that aren't going to get them as a result of this. There's no alternatives. It's not like the people are having their opioids taken away and there's some cure for their pain that they're in, like they're getting amazing sick physiotherapy. Oh, my back suddenly loads better. Or they get the surgery. They can't afford the surgery. The drugs are the alternative. The reason more people are dropping dead of opioids in America right now, sure, there are deaths for pharmaceuticals which have increased. But again, I keep talking about it, fentanyl and carfentanil. There was just a big drug seizure the other day where millions of dollars worth of fentanyl was hundreds of millions of dollars worth of fentanyl.
Terrifying.
Yeah, I know, it's mad, isn't it? More and more people are going to be cutting your drugs with that shit, and it's making the purchase of illicit narcotics and illicit opioids increasingly dangerous. And it's interesting, isn't it, that the argument is being framed, we should just get everybody off opioids, not we really need to fucking start looking at how we handle drugs in a country, how we have laws that enable people to basically profit from potentially poisoning people rather than getting clean drugs, which should be the right of every discerning adult on planet Earth. Anyway, that's a bit of a serious topic, not where we're ending. But what I didn't realize was people have found a way to get high in one of the most unlikely sources ever. Anti-diarrhea medicine. Anti-diarrhea medicine has a fucking
opioid in it.
Well, some sort of you can get high off it, apparently. And people are stocking it up. So there's something called loperamide. And it's in stuff to stop you shitting. Which, by the way, just as an aside, if you ever want to fucking, if you've ever got diarrhea, I've never understood taking Imodium. Like, you've got to be in a real crisis to want to keep it in there. That's your body trying to get something out. Get it out. Just get it out. Like, if you've got to go somewhere, just wear a diaper or something out if you're that worried. Like, Imodium always seems like a bad idea to me. Every time I've had diarrhea when I've been abroad, I've thought, fuck it, I'll just chain myself to the toilet for a day. Till I'm completely cleansed, and then
empty out all the bad shit.
Yeah. Then there's just nothing to shit. So anyway, apparently you can, and this is what's mental about it. You can take 50 to 300 capsules of this stuff to get a euphoric high that is akin to taking morphine or oxycodone
or heroin. Says heroin, mate.
Yeah. Didn't want to mention that.
And it says it costs $10 for 400 capsules. So for $10, that's 2 or 3 fucking good times. Like,
if you do 300 capsules, you will never shit again.
Yeah, innit?
It can't be good for you, mate. It can't be good for you. But then now,
don't take 300 of anything, by the way.
Yeah, never take 300 of anything. That cannot be, right? And you can see here, a doctor says, folks that are desperately addicted, folks that are looking to stave off withdrawal symptoms will do whatever it takes, really extreme things, such as basically making it so the next time you go for a shit, it's the size of a wardrobe. Now, also, loperamide has something in it which can give you heart problems in high doses.
Glad we're taking 300 of them, man.
Yeah, mental. So mental. And now the FDA are having to get involved, and they're trying to stop the sale of loperamide and anti-diarrhea medication because these motherfuckers are straight fiending on it. So even anti-diarrhea medication has been roped in on the war against addiction. Absolutely fucking barking mad, like, And again, don't do that.
Nah. And
then just the final thing, because we never talked about CES, and we should have done a CES special because there was so much about robotics going on at CES. But I did see something that, again, I just thought, come on, mate. Somebody thought it would be a good idea to have robot strippers.
Why though? This is going to be the creepiest shit of all time, isn't it?
Well, I think if I remember rightly, it's in the video, mate. It's 40 seconds. You can 3, 2, 1 this.
So this one. Let's go last screen. Come on.
We keep
Right, there we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
hearing about the robot future at a Las Vegas strip club. That future is apparently here. The stripper robots are partly a promotional
Look at that
stunt.
slow
Tie-in with the
twerk
big
with no
tech
head.
convention taking place in Vegas right now.
Why have
On
we got
another level, the
CCTV
artists who
camera
created
heads?
them with surveillance cameras for heads is trying to raise questions about who's watching whom.
The debate about who has the power, the dancer or the punter.
Fuck you now.
The punter being the male customer. Some critics note the robots are used to draw customers to the club, much the same way that provocatively dressed women are used to draw visitors to booths at the Tex Expo.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, come on, mate. I can't do this
Yeah,
anymore.
that's creepy as fuck, bud.
Sex robots with CCTV heads, mate.
Always watching.
watching.
Ease about 600 anti-diarrhea tablets into the night, mate.
Twerking. Deploy twerk program. Like
Twerking commenced.
Obviously, it did fire up a massive fucking debate about sexism in tech, but I can't be asked. I'm not doing that.
This is the funny ending story.
Yeah, these are robots. They don't want to be involved.
Got CCTV heads.
Yeah, I know exactly. So holy shit. So there you go. There's another episode of the Richard Lewis Show. We'll definitely be chopping some stuff out. Now, what we're going to do as well, Sam, what's your agenda like again?
Working on Sunday.
Not your liberal agenda.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Working on Sunday.
Yep. And that's it.
That's it. That's all I got planned. But
because there's a bunch of guests that I've got lined up. We just need to find dates. Now, everyone's getting fucking ravaged.
Coming on?
Love to get Paul Gascoigne on, but seriously, mate, his box is gone. Like, you just leave Gazza alone. Has he been in the news lately? I feel like
he's been tweeting recently.
Has he?
Yeah, he's got a Twitter now.
What's he been saying?
Paul and the score Gascoigne 8.
Let's have a look at this. He showed off his new look on Twitter, apparently. What I found really disturbing was the way he was kind of morphing into Rolf Harris.
Yeah, he does look a bit weird now. Look at him.
Oh, mate. Like, look at that, bud. Rolf, he's a Rolfaroo, mate. Like, this was when it was hard times, mate. This is the worst. This is the worst I ever saw him. This just made my heart bleed. Like, oh, wait, that's the wrong.
Text.
He's giving you the full thing. There you go. But this is the one that just made me sad.
It looks like it was in EastEnders or something.
Yeah, like that's
looks
just not
like Phil Mitchell searching for crack. Like, where is it?
This is when, and this was also another heartbreaking picture. Like, this is one of the greatest footballers that Britain's ever produced, mate. And like, just look at that. Like, he looks like a fucking halfway done waxwork of himself. So bad.
Looks like a dolphin. He looks like he's turned into a dolphin, but look how smooth his skin is, but
it's just so awful, isn't it? This is what hard drinking does, mate. Just say no. But yeah, anyway, so he's been tweeting, has he? I see he's been to a hypnotherapist.
Been living it, man. Changing his life.
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, you know what? He's doing all right, mate. He looks well now. I'm happy. I'll tell you this for free. Sad fucking day when he dies. I remember when George Best died, when he got through his second liver.
Yeah, Georgie 2 lives.
And I was in Port Talbot at the time, and I got fucking wrecked.
I'll fuck my liver in your honor.
Yeah, we went out to celebrate George Best's life, and we were drinking what George Best used to drink. What's it? That fucking Guinness and champagne, Black Velvet.
Yeah.
So I must have had about 11 pints of that. And I don't know what happened between leaving the Four Winds and I woke up in my friend's garage inside a body bag. Like an actual body bag that we had for some reason. And I was zipped up and just covered in sick. No.
Put him in there, get rid of the sting.
Yeah, it might have been that. Maybe I was just having a spew and they just put me in a body bag. So there'll be similar scenes when Paul Gascoigne dies. Believe that. So yeah. Waking up in a body bag, it's always good. It's like the start of a novel, that is. Oh, here you go. One more story, and then we're definitely out. Right. Promise. No, I just had to fit this in. Tabloids are always trying to one-up each other for this. You know how many of these stupid marriage stories we've covered?
Yeah. Like what do you think? To a church or something.
Yeah. What do you think of this one? Woman fed up with searching for perfect man marries ghost of 300-year-old pirate.
Not bad. How do you get a 300-year-old ghost consent?
It's a good question. It's a good question.
Who's saying I do there? Is it through a Ouija board?
I don't know, mate. But Amanda Teague has married a Haitian pirate named Jack who died in the 1700s. She looks like fucking Elvira in these pics, like. But apparently she's also worked as a Jack Sparrow impersonator or something. So I think she's just obsessed with pirates. Mental, like. Yeah, I'm just sick of these fucking stories. But there's just
creepy life to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. There's just some mad stuff in here. Like just look at these details. Their relationship. What?
There's a line here. Like any ordinary couple, they have arguments, go on dates, and even have sex. No, they don't. No, they don't. I tell you, no, for free they don't. I guarantee you they don't.
There's a song by Ray Parker Jr. If there's an invisible man sleeping in your bed, who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. And busting makes him feel good. We know that. So, says here, though, their relationship developed as he'd sit with her when she was watching TV or driving. Amanda's feelings for Jack grew as they got to know each other more, and then one day he told her they could actually be together. Although she'd never had a spiritual boyfriend before, she did some research and realised she wasn't the only one to have a relationship with a spirit. Amanda had been married before, has 5 children with her ex-husband, but now she feels her connection with her new husband is very strong. Now, I do want to say this.
You are mentally ill.
But the kids, like it's going to be hard playing with the stepdad, isn't it? Mum, will Jack come down and play football with me down the park? Nah, he can't. He's dead.
Nah, he's guarding the gold under fucking water. He's at the belly of the deeps holding the treasure chest.
He's actually scaring off Scooby-Doo right now as we speak. So there you go. That's a funny story to end on. We're out now. So yeah, we've got some guests lined up. Like I was talking like Mon, Mon, obviously.
This Street Fighter.
Yeah, FGC, and he owned the League of Legends team for a while. He says as soon as he gets better, he's going to come on the show. That's going to be straight fire. Too Good reached out when all that fucking crazy Dota 2 stuff was going on. He says he'll come on. I think that'll be straight fire. So yeah, I think we've got a few good people lined up. I think I was going to get Nathanius on as well. I haven't talked to him in ages. I think the only way we'll ever see each other again is if he comes on the podcast. Or any day but Sunday.
Yeah, pretty much this week.
All right, cool. So I'll have Sunday off. I'll probably play some RimWorld on Sunday. So thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks to everybody for subscribing, donating, all of that stuff. Really appreciate it. And yes, we will see you again on the Richard Lewis Show. Until then, take care.